this club. I'm not defensive about it.
Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another transfer video. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the likes, subscribe if you're new around here, and as always, leave your thoughts in the comments. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing Chelsea's pursuit of Hugo Ekitike because it looks like the deal has hit the buffers. The deal is not advancing. We've got an update from Fabrizio Romano on it. Chelsea have made contact a couple of days ago. And he said to DAZN Sport, I've been told that there's no concrete negotiations between Chelsea and Frankfurt for Ekitike. Only a phone call 2 days ago to ask about the price, which is 100 million euros. Let's wait until later in the window, maybe. I give this a 35% chance of happening as things stand. Chelsea are not going to pay 100 million euros. We already know that. Frankfurt are unlikely to be dropping their price. And Fabrizio obviously also adding that it'll be impossible for Chelsea to sign Ekitike ahead of the Club World Cup deadline on Tuesday. I think we realised that. And if you can't get him in for the Club World Cup, just make sure that he's in for the start of the Premier League season if you are genuinely going for him. I'm not against signing Ekitike, but the price is ridiculous. And again, as I've said on the live show yesterday, I suspect that clubs are definitely trying to extort a bit more money out of teams who want players in for the Club World Cup. I suspect the longer this goes into the window, that price will come down because there won't be that desperation to sign players to get them registered for the Club World Cup. I think there'll be a lot better value for money in the market in July, in August, maybe, certainly towards the end of this month and the end of the Club World Cup. There'll be better value in the market. There's not going to be that desperation to be signing players. And I also feel that, Chelsea have got better options out there than Ekitike. Ekitike is good. I like him. But ultimately, this season just gone is his first season, essentially since he broke through at Reims, where he's actually done anything and people have been taking note of him. Did nothing at PSG. And look, he's an exciting young player, similar profile to Nicholas Jackson. For me, it doesn't make sense to have both him and Jackson in the squad coexisting at the same time. And if Ekitike is going to be like your answer to that sort of versatile forward player that we're seemingly looking for to replace Joao Felix and Christopher Nkunku in the squad, then we can do better. I'd much rather have a Morgan Rogers or I'd much rather have a Mohamed Kudus who would be better value for money than Hugo Ekitike. I think the price that Frankfurt are asking for is absolutely ridiculous. What? Based on what? What are they basing this price on? Frankfurt have sold very well over the years. Marmoush, Kolo Muani, Jovic, to name a few, and they've got very, very good prices for their players. I think with this one, I'd be stunned if any club paid the 100 million euros for Hugo Ekitike. For me, it doesn't represent any value for money. It doesn't represent a good deal for any club. I think you're looking at a 60 million. If someone said that Hugo Ekitike is going to cost you 60 million quid, I'd probably say do the deal. I'd say that would be a fair deal. But this 100 million euros, I think Chelsea need to be forgetting it, revisit it later in the window. The price comes down, but you should be shifting your attention to other targets. A Kudus for 70 million, for example, is a much, much better deal than going after a Hugo Ekitike. Morgan Rogers will be a bit more difficult. I think Eberechi Eze will be a bit more difficult as well. But you look at the options we've got here, and it's Delap and Jackson as your centre forwards. And I think this next attacker that comes in, okay, so it'll be Jamie Gittins on the wing, one more attacker to arrive, is not going to be an out-and-out winger. I genuinely think it's going to be one of them versatile forward players. And the names that we're linked with, all good ball carriers in the final third. Kudus, Rogers, Ekitike. That's clearly the profile that Enzo Maresca is looking to add to this squad. He wants a strong ball carrier in the final third, a good dribbler as well. Kudus, obviously, ranked exceptionally highly last season in the Premier League, certainly in terms of dribbling statistics, ball carrying. And this is clearly a dimension that Maresca wants in the squad, and a dimension that Maresca wants to have in the attack, because we don't really have any ball carriers. We could do with a bit more of a goal threat in the final third as well. I know Delap's hopefully going to add goals, but certainly goals from the wide areas. There aren't really any goals from the wide areas. Now, does Kudus give you goals? I mean, yes, he'll give you some goals. Is he more prolific than a Neto, than a Madueke, than what we've currently got? I'd probably say yes, but there's not an awful lot in it. Ekitike, I wouldn't be wanting to spend the money just to have him play wide. I think if you're signing Ekitike, you need to sell Nicholas Jackson, because there's no point buying Ekitike to play him off the left or play him slightly deeper. To me, that wouldn't really be making sense. But then again, there's a few things we've done in the transfer market recently that haven't made sense. But I think, barring a miraculous turnaround in terms of a big reduction in price, I don't see Ekitike leaving Frankfurt. You know, unless he kicks up a fuss and they have to drop the price, then that's the only way that I see him leaving. Because who's paying 100 million euros for him? I don't think Liverpool will pay that price tag, particularly given the fact that they're going to drop ridiculous money on Florian Wirtz. So they're not going to drop over 100 million on Wirtz and then spend like 80 odd million on Hugo Ekitike. I just don't envisage a situation where they're going to be doing that. So you look at other clubs that might be interested in him, and the list doesn't appear to be that long. The only names you're hearing are Chelsea and Liverpool. Neither of those teams, I feel, are going to pay the money. So Frankfurt are in a situation where they're like, look, either keep the player for another year, or you accept slightly less. That's kind of where they're at. But I don't think they're in a bad position, because I don't get the feeling that Ekitike is desperate to leave the club, that he's looking to force his way out of the football club. But at the same time, Frankfurt need to be realistic and understand that 100 million euros, it's not happening, chat. It's not happening. You know, that is just not going to happen. You can set that price all you want, but it's not happening. You could maybe get 80 million euros, but even at 80 million euros, a 20 million euro reduction in price, I just don't see how Frankfurt would be prepared to get there. And if Chelsea did go for him, then a lot of that money would certainly be made up in add-ons. There's no way Chelsea are going big with a fee, with the initial fee. The bulk of it will be made up in add-ons. And again, is that a deal that would suit Frankfurt? Would they be happy to accept those terms? So as things stand, guys, it is looking very unlikely that Hugo Ekitike will be a Chelsea player. And I think that the Blues are going to have to shift their attention to alternative targets. Gittins, I think, will get done this week, Monday or Tuesday. I think he will come to the World Cup. We'll get an answer on Munyan. And then after that, we're looking at, I honestly don't know. Very little links with the defender. And there's not really been anything concrete or major on another attacking type of player. So, yeah, I think we've done well. If we get Delap, Gittins and Munyan in for the Club World Cup, I think that's great business. But then what happens after that is going to be really crucial. And right now, we don't really know what's going to happen after that. But yeah, guys, that's just my thoughts on the Hugo Ekitike situation. Deal is not advancing. Romano giving it a 35% chance of happening. Chelsea are not going to pay that 100 million euros. And I think it's safe to say it's very unlikely that Hugo Ekitike will be a Chelsea player. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments on the Ekitike situation. Should Chelsea be looking at someone else? Should we try and get the price down and try later in the window? Smash the likes, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you lot in another one soon. Up the Chelsea, and we're out. Peace.